Joe Mazzulla pulls the gutsiest move of his coaching career, and it gets the Celtics a super fun comeback win. We're talking about it right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Beantown, be ever ready. It's the C's. Who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis. We kept the madness every game, every practice. Prime time, Depp and D White on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising business, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here in the Locked On Podcast Network. Where does your team every day? Your team is the Boston Celtics, and I talk about them every Monday through Friday, plus bonus podcasts when they play on the weekends. I'll be here through the holiday, so make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. Watch a show on YouTube. You, the everydayer, the person who's with me every single show, you are what makes this the number one Boston Celtics podcast in the world and the number one sports podcast network. Locked On is the number one sports podcast network, so thank you all for making this that. If you're new to the show, I'm John Karalis, beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I've been doing a version of this job for about 20 years. I've been doing this podcast for 10, and I've written a couple books about the team. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Download that FanDuel app. You can get in on NBA action on Christmas Day during NBA happy hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern. So check that FanDuel app to see what's dropping. That's going to be fun over there. I'm over here at TD Garden after the Boston Celtics 103-95 win. I'm upstairs here at the Sports Museum. So if you're watching me on YouTube, I got my guy Larry Bird behind me over my shoulder, Bobby Orr, Ted Williams, Collier Stremski's back there. So I'm just hanging out here after this incredible win. Later on, we'll get into individual performances. I'm going to save the Pacers side of things. We'll get a quick note from Locked On Pacers on that and the shooting variance, which honestly, look, I'm going to talk about all the fun stuff first. I don't know if I've ever seen a shooting variance quite like what the Pacers pulled off. They could not miss in the first half. I mean, just unconscious three-point shooting. And then the second half, literally almost missed everything from three. An incredible turnaround. That's coming up later. But we got to start with the absolute, ballsiest move from Joe Mazzulla beginning of the third quarter where the Celtics just didn't look great. So we start the game. The Pacers are hitting everything, right? 7 of their first 8 or 8 of their first 9. Then they missed a few in a row, but then they started hitting again. And the Celtics were just trying to hang on. It wasn't crisp. They weren't hitting their shots. It just didn't look great for the Celtics. And they were down, they got down like double digits, then into the teens, got it back down to 9. And then the second quarter was just awful. The Celtics were awful in the second quarter. The Pacers kept doing their thing. Pascal Siakam was unstoppable. It was the things that I was just afraid of, right? They are shorthanded. Missing a bunch of guys. I can't even list all of the guys that were missing. And I'm like, look, you just gotta stop Pascal Siakam. They didn't have Jordan Walsh, but they had Josh Minot. They had Hugo Gonzalez. I felt like they had ways to, if you just shut down Pascal Siakam or try to limit him, do something creative to limit him, and just don't let them get hot from three. There's 2 of the things that I wrote before on Boston Sports Journal before the game. Don't let them get hot from three. And don't let Pascal Siakam kill you. And that's exactly what happened in the first half. So, okay, they go into half down 18. Not a big deal, actually. They didn't look great, but the Pacers, A, 6-win team, right? Terrible. B, 32% shooting team, 32.3% shooting team coming into this game. Now, they had shot 60% in the first half. I'm like, okay, that's going to level off at some point. 18-point lead at halftime in the NBA means nothing. An 18-point lead in the beginning of the fourth quarter is nothing. So I just felt like the Celtics needed to come out of halftime strong. Come out, whatever. And hey, beginning of the third quarter, you're like, okay, they're starting to hit some shots, and the Pacers were missing shots. No one has blown more leads in the NBA than the Indiana Pacers. So I was like, okay, here we go. Starting to miss. And then what happens? The third thing I wrote about on Boston Sports Journal, rebound the misses, because they're going to miss a lot of shots. Just rebound the misses, and you'll often running. Offensive rebound, offensive rebound, offensive rebound. So even though they were getting the misses and they were hitting some shots, they weren't getting any separation. They were back down to 20. They actually, though, it was starting to get away from them. So 9:20 or so on the clock, Mazzulla calls timeout, subs out all of his starters. And already Josh Minot, who started the game in place of Jordan Walsh, was already sitting. So now the subs come in. It's, it was Baylor Shireman, Hugo Gonzalez, Anfernee Simons was handling the scoring duties. Sam Hauser was in there, Luka Garza. And what do you know? Energy, offensive rebounding on the other end. Suddenly, a little bit of a run. The 20-point lead's down to 15, 14. You start to see 11-4 run. What is it, like 19-6 run. And it just kept going. And the Pacers just kept missing. And it was everything that you could want from a comeback. You had incredible defensive plays. Hugo Gonzalez, that kid is going to be special. Let me just tell you here that whenever they start doing redrafts of the 2024 NBA draft, Hugo Gonzalez is not going to be picked 28th. 3 years from now, when podcasts start doing like, hey, let's redraft 2024, and who knows what's going to happen. Cooper Flagg probably still be number one. VJ Edgecombe will be up there. There'll be a lot of like different names that move up. I am telling you, I promise you, Hugo Gonzalez is going to be in that top 10. I promise you he's going to be in that top 10, maybe middle of that, maybe higher. He's going to be special. This I've been saying from the beginning that I know that he's going to be a starter on this team Sunday, a regular starter, not just beginning of the year. He started a game already, and I was like taking a quick little victory lap. Hugo Gonzalez is going to be a regular starter maybe next season. If not next season, the season after that for sure. But I'm telling you, why wouldn't you start this kid? He has incredible instincts. He has incredible defensive instincts. He has already a bit of an offensive bag that he's slowly throwing out there. And whenever I've said, hey, maybe you should get this kid some G League reps, it's always because I want to see him develop that offensive bag, whatever. He doesn't have to do that now. But I'm telling you, he's going to develop that. I'm telling you, he's already a really good defender. Whatever happens from this season, Hugo Gonzalez is going to be a big part of the Boston Celtics future. I love how he plays. I love his instincts. I love his feel for the game, his attitude, the way he was a menace out there. He drew an offensive foul. I think it was on Nembhard. He hit the deck. He got up. He kind of smiled. He laughed. He let out a yell. He got the crowd going into it. There was a play where he lost it out of bounds, and Pascal Siakam smartly was trying to delay so the refs, to give his bench time to be like, I didn't touch it, which he wasn't even close. It was a horrible call. And so they won that challenge. But Ugo's like pushing Siakam out of the way. Like he's just out there just being a pest, getting under people's skin. Hugo was great. I love watching this kid play basketball. Luka Garza, again, going out there, just being, persistent. He always looks like, I was joking, I forget who it was, maybe Bobby Kravitsky, who was saying like, I said, Luka Garza looks like he ran a marathon. And he's like, he looks like he played basketball in a sauna. And that was like, yes, that's what Luka Garza looks like. He looks like he played basketball in a sauna. He comes out of the game. He's like, huffing, puffing, just red face, pouring with sweat. I like this dude looks like he works hard, but everybody works hard. He looks like he's worked super incredibly hard, but he's out there just persistent on the offensive rebounds. So he's keeping the ball alive. The Celtics' second chance points were huge. They were 24-10 in second chance points. So the Celtics were plus 14. That was a big deal for the Celtics in this game. So he's part of this comeback. Shireman makes plays, takes a big offensive foul, makes a big defensive play. The Anfernee Simons is out there kind of handling the scoring, going off on hitting some craziness. Everybody that was out there was making a contribution. That bench unit, like after the game, Jaylen Brown, I asked him, you came out like that never happens to you, benched 3 minutes into the second half. And he said, I was pissed. I thought we were, giving in. I thought that was it. And it turns out that it was the right call. It was, the right decision. The bench won the game for us. And he said, quote, great call by Joe. Like he was upset because he thought, hey, we're mailing, that's it. We're mailing it in. Already third quarter, we're down 20. I'm not even going to get a chance to bring us back. Okay, I get it. And I can tell in his head, he's thinking, I get it, man. We're not playing great, but give me Jaylen Brown, an all-NBA player right now. Give me a chance to pull us out of this. Joe's like, nope. All of you sit. Bench goes in. Joe pressing the right buttons. Again. Yesterday's podcast again. Joe deserves more credit, and here he is. Perfect timing. Thank you, Joe Mazzulla. Right after I'm like, this dude deserves more credit, and people are like, oh, I don't know. He comes in, makes this decision, flips the game, wins the Celtics the game. Just mastery. So it was a perfect call, the right call. The Pacers were complicit. The shooting variance is something unlike I've ever seen before. We'll talk about the shooting that went into this when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Open up that FanDuel app because we know that Sundays move fast in the NFL, and these games in the NBA move fast just about every night. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. Can you imagine what the odds were? I didn't even see what the live odds were, but the Celtics down 20, and Joe pulls all the starters. Can you imagine what those live odds were? You could have gotten in on that. Boom. That would have been a big payoff, I'm sure. And you can place the bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. It's best when the game starts to shift and the live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props adjust as guys heat up, and you can bet next scorers, next touchdown scorers in football, drive results, totals, and more. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, FanDuel is the place to place all your NFL and NBA live bets all season long. When you sign up on FanDuel, make sure that you're using the tools that are offered to you. They have a tool that lets you set your limit, set your budget. Please use that. Whatever your disposable income is for the week, 2 weeks, whatever. Is it $100? Is it $200? Whatever it is, that's your limit. If you get a cold streak, it'll stop you. So do that. Gamble responsibly at FanDuel. A game moves fast. So can you. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. If you're already an everydayer, level up. Get to the the Locked On Celtics Everydayer Club. Okay? You get ad-free audio for Locked On Celtics. You get the access to the Discord server. The ad-free audio are compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, every other major podcast app. So you'll get that. You get our Discord server. You get exclusive merch. You get all of that stuff. So make sure that you're checking it out. LockedOnCeltics.supercast.com. LockedOnCeltics.supercast.com to sign up for that because it's a good deal. $5 a month for the ad-free audio and access to all that stuff. $50 if you want to pay for the year up front. So check that out on the Everydayer Club. So the Pacers were 12 of 20 in the first half. They were 1 of 20 in the second half. So in any sort of big comeback, the other team has to be complicit somehow. That's how the Pacers were complicit. I know they say water finds its level. I can't ever really remember water finding its level that hard, that quickly. The Pacers came into this game shooting 32.3% on the season worst in the NBA. They came out of this game, they shot 32.5% in this game, but they shot 60% in the first half and 5% in the second half. Let's get the Pacers perspective from Locked On Pacers host Tony East.
To the Celtics 103-95 in Boston. Tony East here with Locked On Pacers. Whew. That's tough for the Pacers. They're up 20 multiple times in this game. They made 12 of their 23s in the first half. Were riding a high, looked good, had the energy, had the momentum. Then they made one of their 23s in the second half of this game en route to blowing that 20-point lead. Jaylen Brown was hard to stop for the Pacers. Their defense, though, was largely okay for most of the game. Consistent-ish effort. It was not great in crunch time, but mostly their shooting and offense just evaporated. Their lowest effective field goal percentage in a half this season. In fact, the lowest of any team in a half this season. You can't win that way. You can't win shooting that poorly, even with a very good scoring first half. Pascal Siakam with 25 points was quite good. Pacers keep tinkering with their lineups, but they lose Isaiah Jackson injury. They stopped remembering how to shoot the ball. The Celtics kept fighting, playing their game, stuck with it, and got it done. We'll have much more on Locked On Pacers.
So that's go check out Tony East on Locked On Pacers. He does a good job there. If you want to get the Pacers perspective, I always recommend that you go check out the other teams' shows. We get a Locked On for everybody. Look, the Celtics defense, it is designed to take away the rim. They need to be better at who they allow to take the three-point shots and making sure that they are challenging, contesting those shots properly. Now, shooting is contagious. It's just one of those weird things that when one guy is going, you very rarely see like, oh my God, this one guy is shooting crazy, and then everyone else just kind of sucks. Although that kind of did happen with Derek White the other night. But it just feels like every night, every time one person starts hitting, a couple guys start hitting, and everybody starts hitting. And then when somebody goes cold, it's just wild to see everybody go cold. I don't know how that's possible, but the Pacers forgot how to shoot, and that really was part of it. The rebounding was such a big reason why I thought Hugo Gonzalez was so huge for the Celtics. He had 11 rebounds, 9 defensive rebounds. And that's the thing. Without Jayson Tatum, the Celtics have struggled to get a forward to get in there and rebound. You get Nemish Keita out there. He's big. He'll get in there. He'll get some rebounds. Luka Garza goes in and gets you the offensive rebounds and some of the defensive rebounds, but mostly the offensive boards. The Celtics don't have a strong rebounding team. They don't have a bunch of strong rebounders. We know that because Tatum is out. And when Walsh is playing at his best, he gets in there and he rebounds. Hugo getting in there, grabbing some boards, stopping, actually getting the stops that you need to run and get out and score it's a big deal. And like that shooting variance applies the other way too, because if you look at the first half, the first quarter of the Pacers shot 8 of 12. That's 11. Like, okay. Second quarter, Pacers were 4 of 8. The Celtics were 1 of 7. Gross. Third quarter, all of a sudden now the Pacers go 1 of 12. Celtics 4 of 13. Not great, but you make up some ground. 4 of 13. Everything else, you like those 3 makes. They made 8. The Pacers made 8 shots in that quarter. The Celtics made 11. And all of that difference was in that 3-point line. So they make up 10 points there. And then in the third quarter, the Pacers go 0 for 8 and the Celtics go 2 for 6. You just make up a little bit of ground here or there. The variance from the Pacers, obviously the Celtics didn't exactly shoot the lights out. Now, Jaylen hit a crazy corner 3-pointer. Derek hits one. It was more getting to the rim. And I think when it comes to like Jaylen said after the game, like he attacked, he got the ball and just like attacked the basket because he felt like they were passive as a team, and he felt like he was settling a little bit. So I just feel like whenever you get someone off the bench, somebody contributing off the bench with the rebounding, that's such a huge plus. The Celtics bench was again a big plus in this game. This is the third straight game. Now they scored 40 plus in the last two, but the Celtics put up more points. I didn't do like the percentages, but the Celtics only scored 103 in this game, and the bench scored 32, right? 6, 12, 18, 28, 29, 32. There we go. So I'm counting on the podcast, always A+ content. The Celtics bench scored 32 points, which is something. What did the Pacers score? 9, 11, 14, 16, 18. So that's a big difference. And the Celtics bench hasn't always been a strength when it comes to scoring. There's very many of these games where the Celtics bench is in single digits or low double digits. To have the Celtics bench again come up and score nearly a third of their points, that's huge. And obviously big because they had such a big stretch in that third quarter, but just a phenomenal. Like when we talk about team wins, that was a team win. The exchange between Hugo Gonzalez and Jayson Tatum in the locker room, if you haven't heard about this, was hilarious. I'll tell you about that when we come back. Today's show is brought to you by Robinhood. No one knows your money goals better than you. Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again, channeling that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money because you can trade stocks with ETFs, options, futures, and crypto, all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Thanks for being an everyday or making this show the number one Celtics podcast on the planet and on the number one Locked On Podcast Network. So the number one podcast, sports podcast network, which is amazing. That, number one, thanks to you. So post game, the scrum is going on. Hugo Gonzalez is there. Talking to us, and Jayson Tatum is walking kind of out past the locker room, and the scrum is almost over, and Jayson just yells to Hugo, "You still here?" Which is always funny, right? Because like you're looking at the dude. Yes, he's still here. So Hugo goes back, goes, "Yeah, I'm still here." He goes, "Hey, yo, what did I say to you yesterday?" And Hugo says, "I can't say right now." Which, okay, now I know what's coming. And Tatum yells back, "That you're a bad mother." I can't say the final word either. But Jayson Tatum out there calling Hugo a bad MF. Like that. I love that. Because first of all, Hugo, 19 years old, rookie. Here's Tatum, a chance to haze the rookie in front of everybody. And he's like, "No, you're bad, man. You're a bad, you're like that." Respect out there is really amazing. And I think Jayson understands. I think everybody understands that Brad Stevens has a hit on his hands over here. It's funny. People like to talk about like, "Oh man, Brad Stevens can't draft. Why can't he draft?" And like not giving a chance for any of these guys to actually work out. Now Jordan Walsh, late second round, looks like somebody who's going to stick around. Hugo Gonzalez at the 28th pick is a hit, and like I'm telling you that he's going to be a stud for the Celtics moving forward. It's just really fun to see. I think that everybody kind of recognizes that. Just some other individual performances. First of all, Jaylen Brown, another 31 points. I didn't even get to his whole set. 31 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. Like another 30 piece for him. Not the most efficient night for him, but a good recovery. Fourth quarter, he scored 14 points. He outscored the Pacers in the fourth quarter, 14-13. Peyton Pritchard, Derek White. Pritchard didn't shoot particularly well, so it was an okay game for him. Derek White was pretty good, especially late after that. After the benching, he finished with 19 points, but just good. Joe was careful to give Anfernee Simons a lot of credit after the game, and I thought I think that's worth something because Simons has been important, and this was a real good kind of example of what he can be for Boston on a night where Jaylen just kind of didn't have it for a little bit, a little while there. Simons, I've talked about his locker has been empty in the locker room. It's got stuff in it now. Like it's not as bad as it was before. But I still wonder how, comfortable or uncomfortable that Simons has been with the situation. I would love to see him get more comfortable. I think if you missed the bonus podcast, the bonus content with me and Keith Smith, that was on YouTube only. I will release an audio version of that on an off day coming up. So if it's not in your audio feeds yet, you want to go watch it. It's on the YouTube page. If you don't want to watch it on YouTube, it will be released on the audio feed during an upcoming off day. So it'll be a bonus kind of weekend show on a day that they're not playing. But there is a world where the Celtics keep Anfernee Simons, and I think there's a scenario where he could be, depending on what he's willing to do, he could be an important part of this team. If he can embrace the bench, coming off the bench, if he can be if he can find his way to being an effective player off of the bench, I think there's a world where he can be a high-end sixth man for the Celtics, at least for another, a year or two. And let's be honest here. Next year, Jaylen Brown's going to be 30. He was on Derek White's podcast, talking about he doesn't want to play past 34. I mean, he'll see. He says that now. You don't know what's going to happen, but you're not. There's not a lot of time left for Jaylen Brown in the NBA, right? 4 or 5 years. If you get a couple of them with Anfernee Simons figuring out how to be a sixth man, and now you got Hugo. You're like, look, hey, hold on now. We got ourselves something here. You got Jaylen and Jayson and Derek White, who's 30, 31. He's only got a few years left too. Unfortunately, he's only got a few years left. Some of these guys only have a few years left of being as effective as they are. That's how things go. So those three guys, you got Peyton. It's a pretty good team. You get Jordan filling in a gap. Maybe you keep Minot. He fills in a gap. You start to see these pieces where this Celtics team, as it stands without Tatum, you're like, okay, I can see they aren't bad. They aren't bad, right? They're the third seed. I didn't even check what the standings look like, but they look pretty good. And now you're like, okay, you add the Celtics are alone in third at 18-11. They're on a 50-win pace. I still think they're going to tail off. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just maybe I don't know. But anyway, I still think that obviously this is a good team. Tatum comes back this year, knocks off the rust beginning of next year. He's Jayson Tatum again. Anfernee Simons coming off the bench. Hugo Gonzalez coming off the bench. Okay, you get a big man somehow. Maybe you just find another serviceable big man, and that's I don't know. Maybe you find a way to build a front court there. You have traded player exceptions. Maybe there's a way you can find a big man to trade for into one of that. You give up a pick or two in the next couple of years. Is there a way that the Celtics can kind of keep all of this together? I think this game kind of shows a little bit of, okay, Anfernee Simons with kind of some freedom getting more comfortable in that 6-man role. I like that idea. I kind of like where this is going. Again, I don't have the highest expectations for this year. We're at Christmas. This week is Christmas, and that's great. The Celtics are going on their long road trip. They're going to go on their West Coast trip. This is a very winnable. They're winnable games on the stretch, but they're going to start hitting some of the doldrums. They're going to start hitting January when things start to tail off. What happens there? We got to get through some of these parts where we say, is there going to be any kind of like regression or anything like that? Still got to get through all of that. But regardless of what happens this year, it doesn't even matter to me. What matters more is what they're figuring out for next year. I kind of like all of these pieces that we're seeing that you can apply to next year. The more this stuff works out, the less Brad Stevens has to do. Then it becomes like just acquire a serviceable big, a good big somehow. And can you keep some of this scoring here? I don't know. We'll save that for another podcast. Right now, celebrate this win is a fun one. This is a fun win. It's a nice win. Credit to Joe Mazzulla for pulling that, pressing those buttons. Credit to those guys for coming in off the bench and making that happen. And it's 3 in a row. And now Friday. Watch Friday's game, because the last point I want to make is Jaylen was saying, like, they're talking trash over there. One guy in particular. And so he's basically saying, I'm looking forward to playing them again on Friday. I think Jaylen wants to blow the doors off of that team on Friday. Will that be good or bad? Will we be trying too hard? I don't know, but I will do a podcast after that game. I will have a podcast all week long. So make sure you're subscribed to this show, this podcast. You can watch it on YouTube. You can become an everydayer. Join me every Monday through Friday, plus these bonus podcasts. Join the Everydayer Club. $5 a month, $50 for the year. So you get 2 months free that way. Ad-free audio, access to our Discord server, access to exclusive merchandise drops, and a lot more. So check it out. Locked On Podcasts at supercast.com. Do that and then share the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.